Welcome to another episode of the Main Street Spotlight. I'm Republican Main Street Caucus Vice Chair Laurel Lee, and my guest today is one of our Main Street Caucus members, Congressman Dan Meuser of Pennsylvania. For those just getting to know Main Street, we are a caucus of Republican members who like to get things done. The Main Street Spotlight video series is one way you can meet our members who are fighting for you and making sure Washington works for you. Welcome to the Spotlight, Dan.
Thanks, Laurel.
We're glad to have you here.
Congresswoman.
Let's start by you telling us just a little bit about your district. What's it like and what brought you to Congress?
Well, it's a wonderful district, of course, as you would probably state about yours. It's relatively rural, but more, I'd say, suburban. It's quite large. It's actually 20% larger than the state of Connecticut, but a lot more red. So that certainly allows me to represent them in a manner that comes natural to me. What brought me to Congress is wanting to serve. I was in the home medical equipment industry, was president of a manufacturing company within that industry, got very involved with legislative affairs, got to know people like Rick Santorum and Arlen Specter and many others. And when the opportunity came up, I ran, and now I'm in my fourth term, trying to be the best problem-solving conservative I can be, and that's probably why I'm in Main Street Caucus.
You anticipated one of my next questions. But before we get to that, I have another question about your background, because you have done a number of really interesting things. Now, isn't it also right that you were the Pennsylvania Secretary of Revenue?
Yes.
Tell me about that and how that informs your work today in Congress.
Well, thanks. And you want to know what? Just what's so impressive about being in Congress? There are so many members, like yourself, by the way, that have had such extensive backgrounds, and we're really here with quality people, in spite of what what we hear on the fringes or see on the fringes. I was a revenue secretary, as you stated. I was in the governor's cabinet. He asked me, it was an appointment, I had to be voted on within our state senate. I got to know Tom Corbett, the governor, while he was attorney general. I helped him in his campaign. We got along. I started writing a lot of policy for him on economics and budgets and ideas there. And he just said, hey, listen, you got to stay with me, so we need to find a spot for you. And then it turned out revenue. And in Pennsylvania, revenue is, I hate to say it, but a little bit like the IRS for Pennsylvania, right? But we treated customers, I used all my business experience to bring some business practices to the office, to the agency. We had over 2,000 people working in our Department of Revenue. And we treated taxpayers like customers. We drove compliance. We tried to be a tax advocacy organization as opposed to simply a tax collection organization. And it worked. We were actually named the most improved Department of Revenue in the country during those 4 years. But I joke sometimes that, if I feel as if I was nominated valedictorian of summer school because we could have done a lot more. We were hoping to have another 4 years in there to keep it going and really make Pennsylvania in the echelons of Florida and Texas and everything else. But maybe that'll come eventually.
Well, that experience, both in the private sector and in state government, ties in so directly to some of the work that you're doing here in Congress. Tell us a little bit about the committees where you serve. That's Financial Services and Small Business. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell us about those committees, what you're working on there, and the legislative priorities you have now in Congress.
Sure. Well, like you, we take a sort of a macro perspective initially. Outside of our district duties and constituent services and project management and communications, it's all very important. But it's so great having President Trump back in office, and certainly having the majority in the House and the Senate, as slim as it is. But at least we have the gavels, and we can execute to the best of our ability our plan. And the plan is strong national security, strong economy, and common sense approach towards regulations, minimal government, and driving the private sector. Really a far cry from where we were in the past 4 years under the Biden administration and different House leadership. But within my committees, it's really about making small businesses have minimal burdens on them, most opportunity. Banking is very important, community banking. We spent a lot of time trying to make community banks great again, to borrow a phrase. We engage in oversight and investigations. That's my subcommittee in financial services. So we to help straighten out what occurred during the Biden years, and that was really some really important organizations going well beyond their scope of authority and doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, like debanking certain industries and sending regulations out to these banks and acting as if enforcing as if it was law. So we had to unwind some of that, which we're working on. And fortunately, the president has put good people in there at the SBA, Kelly Loeffler, who I know you know, and others at Paul Atkins at the SEC. We had to straighten out the FDIC. That was really a mess internally and externally. So all that's being corrected.
Now, you touched on something earlier that I also want to hear your thoughts about, and that is, what is it that helped you decide to join the Republican Main Street Caucus?
Well, you know what? First of all, sometimes the name is very fitting. It's about Main Street, and I'm about Main Street. We're here to give Main Street as many, I don't know, breaks, but give them the best environment in order to operate. I was a small business owner slash leader, if you will, and which we grow into a large business over time. So I feel as if I get it, and and Main Street gets it. It brings in, doesn't say you've got to be a moderate, doesn't say you need to be a conservative. You need to be a problem solver. You need to be someone that's leaning in and actually finding what works and pursuing that. And Main Street is so much about that. And at our meetings, we really get a lot of different ideas of some real smart people that also pay attention to the real needs of their constituents and what's best for their constituents and what's best for the country. So it's a great team. And thank you for your leadership at Main Street.
It is a great team, and it's great to get to work with those members. As you said earlier, there's some really talented, special people from all over the country, and having a place that we can all come together and come up with some good ideas is really important. Now, I want to ask you a fun question at the end, more about your family background. I understand that you and your brother have done a lot of things together. You played sports together. You've owned businesses together. Tell me a little bit more about your family background.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, certainly my family, I've got 3 children, great wife, and all that is terrific. And you're so blessed if, they're healthy and they're happy. So fortunately that works out, has worked out. But yeah, growing up, we really had a great time. My dad was a police officer. I grew up on Long Island, not Pennsylvania. Well, we started our business in Pennsylvania. But we did a lot of things, but it was really, I think to say it was chores, sports, and homework, and friends. I think in that order too. But we had a number of different businesses. It was funny when we were just reflecting on this interview. I realized that at one time my brother and I had 4 jobs together. We were ocean lifeguards. We were clammers out on Long Island. Clamming is a big thing, and it was a great business for a teenager. We had paper routes, and we had our regular lawns to mow. So we had a whole thing going on, and then which probably made a lot of sense. When he came out of school and I came out of school, we went into business together.
Entrepreneurs.
And that lasted, well, until I left, 22, 23 years later.
Well, that is remarkable, and it'll sure give you a good work ethic. Well, thank you for your time today, Dan. I appreciate you joining us today. And that is a wrap for today's Main Street Spotlight. Thank you to each of you who are watching. Know that we are fighting for Main Street and for you every day here in Washington.